Alright everyone, welcome back. It is now November 17th of 2023, and given that Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith are caught up in the drama once again, we all know that there's a lot of things happening revolving the revelations that were pretty much spewed out to the general public via her new book called Worthy, and Will Smith getting all these claims about his personal life that he's angered about. We have a lot more to talk about that in just a couple of days from now, as this is a progressing development. But what's interesting about Jada Pinkett Smith is that we know that she likes to play the victim, she is a narcissist, she is a pathological liar, and I've said this many times, but she is someone that does not own up to her mistakes and has no remorse over any kind of consequences or ramifications that she creates based on her actions. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, the thing about Jada Pinkett Smith is that we know that she's very self-absorbed when it comes to her book, and this is a book, by the way, that not only drops a lot of revelations about herself, but also about Will Smith and other individuals in there that we've gone over and covered several times. But what's interesting has a lot to do with her current situation in both the film industry and her role in television, and why that is completely tarnished right now. We talked about how she was fired and let go by multiple studios for multiple projects as she was planning to make a comeback, quote-unquote, if you even want to call it a comeback. And, well, Jada Pinkett Smith doesn't really seem to be taking this too well. Let's discuss. Now, to top things off, with the whole Will Smith and Jada Pinkett drama only getting worse via her book, one major development has to do with her firing from multiple studios in Hollywood. Now, Jada recently delivered the following about the ongoing situation. As a woman, I am proud of the opportunity that I was given to put Worthy into the hands of others and on store shelves, and to those claiming that this has dragged both Will and I, as well as Chris, into the toxicity they were trying to run from, well, that's just a ridiculous claim. The problems that I am beginning to notice in this industry, I don't care if it's film or television, is that these studios that run the show are two-faced. I am not going to sit here and lie that I was not involved in some very important conversations and opportunities that fell apart from those said studios, all because of how the public reacted to not just my book, but to my life. It's terrible behavior, and I think I deserve an apology from many of those high up in the industry. I was wrongfully dropped from many important career opportunities, and I will admit that they were for both film and television from different studios for now that shall remain nameless. But I am looking into it and what I can do about that. As for now, I am focused on my books for the future to continue putting out new revelations of not just my life, but also of Will's. You see, this is generally how Hollywood works with many of these studios and these outlandish producers and executives. They don't care about the actress and her feelings, they care about whatever the general public thinks of them and how they decide one's career. And it's completely an unfair business that needs adjusting. It certainly does. Believe me, had I moved forward with those projects that were going to begin producing next year, I think many would begin to realize that my career in acting was going to be something that none of you have ever seen before in my acting career. Now guys, let me just stop here for one moment about Jada Pinkett Smith. Once again, playing the victim card. Hollywood is not fair, it never was, and it never will be. That's just how the business works. They want talented people, they want people that are liked by the audience, and that's just how it really goes. I mean, think of the actor or actress not just as a performer, but also as a part of the marketing, right? You want someone that is going to cater to the audience, that actually has a built-up background, that really kind of boosts their career, and that's why you have actresses and actors out there where if they are heavily beloved, they get more acting roles. That's just how it works. That's how the business works. It's not just based on the public, though. It's also based on how your projects go at the box office or ratings on television. Doesn't matter. That's just how it works out. This is nothing new, and it's nothing that will ever change. So Jada Pinkett Smith, I believe, is just out of her mind, kind of making it like Hollywood needs to be completely flipped upside down, where everyone is treated fairly in this business, no matter what happens or no matter what you do. She's got to begin to realize, and this is another prime example of why I say She has no care in the world about her consequences and ramifications that she creates based on what she says or does in her life, such as, you know, creating all this drama in her book. You know, had she not unveiled the fact in her book that Will and her were separated since, what, 2016? I don't think SNL would have hopped on board immediately, mocking her and getting her all riled up, wanting to go on the Howard Stern show right now to call out NBC. And look, at the end of the day, if she wants to dial down the drama, why don't she just stay quiet? Why don't she stop talking and maybe just kind of take a sit back and just watch everything dissipate? That's how you do it in a professional matter, and she's obviously not doing that. So, moving onwards, alright? Now, she goes on to conclude, "It was a great offer, and I lost many of those because of a false image of me created by the public and those overreacting to my revelations in my book. But one thing I will admit, that all of this drama has only brought me closer to Will, and I refuse to admit that my book was the leading cause of Will getting dragged into all of this again. But this is just how the business works, and it's a very two-faced career to be an actress. Having worked on some films, I hold full intentions of including more revelations to that side of my life as well in a future book that I have planned that I am willing to talk about soon. I'm just trying to convince Will when the time would be right to talk about all of this, because it involves him again as well." So do you guys not see the the hypocrisy there, and how she's very contradictory? At the end, she says she's trying to convince Will to adapt to these revelations and to let him know when he is willing to drop those reveals in her next book. By dropping those revelations, you're creating more drama. We don't need to know everything. The public doesn't need to know everything about one's life. You know, I think that this is the one problem with a lot of celebrities, is that they feel that everyone wants to know everything about them. And sure, maybe there's a group of people out there that are like that, but the majority really don't care. They don't care. And so I think that's what one thing Jada Pinkett Smith needs to realize, is that that could very well be why this book is underperforming, is because it's trying way too hard on basing the book on revelations that's only leading to stirred up drama, especially for Will Smith. And again, look, I'm not defending Will Smith and what he did on stage against Chris Rock. That was absolutely unacceptable. I will admit that. But he's trying to move on. Chris Rock is trying to move on. And Jada Pinkett Smith is not making it any easier to separate themselves from all of this drama that's being spewed from her book and from her plans of future books. And it's not going to stop, because now with these studios dropping her like flies, of making that acting career comeback, and like I said earlier in the video, if you even want to call it a comeback, she wasn't in all that many movies or TV shows per se. The one that I remember was Collateral with Tom Cruise, where she was like the damsel in distress. But even that film, you forgot she was even in it. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but interestingly enough, guys, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.